a mystical landscape with rare creatures found nowhere else on Earth. Situated 2,000 meters above sea level, this is a world of its own. This is Horton Plains National Park. We traveled from Colombo to the central highlands of Sri Lanka. Our base was a small village called Patapola. Altogether, the drive from Colombo took about 5 hours. Along the way, we passed many scenic sites. We stayed at a guest house which was conveniently located close to Horton Plains National Park. However, before visiting the park, we took a while to prepare our camera gear. Afterwards, we had a quick lunch and decided to head out. From Patapola, there was a 5-kilometer drive to the park entrance. This is one of 2 entrances to Horton Plains National Park. The tourist season had just begun, so there were many visitors around. Before entering the park, we had to buy tickets. This was our first time at Horton Plains, so proper guidance was necessary. Luckily, we had Supun to help us out. Since he visited the park regularly, he was familiar with the terrain. Our main goal was to find some highland leopards. Altogether, Horton Plains encompasses around 32 square kilometers. But we only had a limited stretch of road between the 2 entrances to find these elusive cats. As the day began, a thick cover of mist enveloped the landscape. The weather was so cold that the temperature dropped below 10 degrees. As a result of the cold climate, some of the vegetation was covered with frost. Normally, this happens once per year, and it was a sight to behold. It's not every day that you see frost-covered plants in a country that's warm all year round. This is the Shri Viewpoint, one of the famous locations at Horton Plains National Park. Once the mist clears, it's possible to see this sacred mountain above the forest canopy. If the conditions are just right, you might get a photographic opportunity like this. Here we have a sambar deer, perfectly aligned against the mountainous background. In fact, the grassy plains of Horton Plains are ideal grazing grounds for sambar deer. It's estimated that around 2,000 sambar deer inhabit the park. Weighing between 100 to 300 kilograms, sambar are the largest deer on the Indian subcontinent. More importantly, they are the favorite prey of leopards. Perched on a plateau more than 2,000 meters above sea level, Horton Plains was declared a national park in 1988. It's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Earlier, it had been a nature reserve. Lately, the park has become famous for leopard sightings. However, there are other iconic animals too. Known as the bear monkey, this purple-faced langur is a variation restricted to the highlands of Sri Lanka. In the mist, these animals are not easy to see. Horton Plains has a rich diversity of flora, some of which are found only in the highlands. The unique vegetation is home to rare reptiles, like the endemic pygmy lizard. These creatures are masters of disguise and can be incredibly hard to spot. The rhino-horned lizard is another notable reptile found in these forests. Compared to other national parks, it isn't easy to see leopards here at all. It was like finding a needle in a haystack. At Horton Plains, the conditions fluctuated constantly. Pretty soon, the landscape got covered with mist again. Luckily, we had other options. Off the main road, there were several walking trails at Horton Plains, which was ideal for hikers. One trail was particularly famous and was the reason why many people visited the park. The trail had several attractions. Here, we had to travel by foot for a while, but there was plenty to see along the way. This is Baker's Falls, a beautiful waterfall that can be seen on this trail. It was named after Sir Samuel Baker. On the southern edge of the park, there is the famous World's End. It's a sheer cliff with a drop of about 900 meters, offering a breathtaking panoramic view of the landscape below. The next day, we visited the park from the other entrance. When driving along the main road, one must always be careful, since other animals can be encountered on the road. It's always good to keep a speed limit here. Most of the time, the sound of alarm calls by sambar deer would betray a leopard's location. Upon seeing a leopard, the deer would emit a series of alarm calls to warn others. Coupled with the impenetrable mist and vegetation, a leopard sighting at Horton Plains is a cause for celebration. The leopards here look different. They appear larger with a thicker coat, which is likely an adaptation to the cold weather. Experts believe that the leopards of Horton Plains have plenty of food, and due to less competition, they have easy access to prey, like sambar deer. Sambar meat is nutritious and a source of high-quality protein. Coupled with the physiological adaptations to the cold climate, this may be the reason why these leopards look bigger. Finding a leopard at Horton Plains will not be easy, but don't be disappointed if you don't see one, because they will most certainly see you.